Hi folks, and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to talk about items that I feel are a necessity to me living in a van and my van life, and what I'm guessing a lot of people might think are luxuries. So let me know in the comments section down below which category things fall in for you, but I'm going to explain each item and why for me it's a necessity, but I also understand for a lot of people it would be a luxury. Right, let's get into it. The first one is going to it's going to get you talking. Right, I'm going to talk about a bit of an elephant in the room. I made a video probably about 18 months ago or something like that. That might have been just about a year ago, saying why I would never get Starlink. They've done a lot of work to improve what it does in the last year, is all I can say. Over 300 satellites a month are going up most of the time. And that means the coverage is much better, the speed's much better, and its ability to deal with objects in the sky that are in the way of the satellites, like tall buildings and trees and things like that, which means it's a lot more usable than it was. So I'm going to unbox my new Starlink and let you know how easy it is or not, and how well it works or not. I've gone for the RV system, or it's the roaming system it's now called, which is the motorized dish, which is £80 a month, and it gives me unlimited data and unlimited use in all of Europe. Doesn't stretch to places like Morocco, although it might do once they agree to it. Same again in Turkey. They've not agreed to it yet, although I know people that have been using it in Turkey. So geographically it'll seem to work, but politically and legally you shouldn't use it in those areas. But the rest of Europe works fine, and it now does cover like far north of Scotland, Finland and Norway and all that kind of stuff, which it didn't do when I last made my video. So that just goes to show you how much they've improved it. So yeah, let's get unboxing. Let's see what we think. So packaging wise, I would say it was very good packaging. Minimal but sufficient. That is the base that the Starlink dish sits on. You're going to see shortly where I mount the base, and yeah, you can mount it on the floor or wherever you want. This is the dish, nicknamed Dishy, and that is the cable, and that's the cable connector that comes out of the back of the dish so that you can sort of separate it all. Talk more about all that in a few minutes, but yeah, you get a nice little instruction card that lets you know roughly what to do with which item and how long it's going to take for it all to set up. The next item is the router, which is also the power supply, and yes, that does require 240 volts, so that's the mains plug for it. I shall talk more later about power consumptions and 12 volt 240 volt, and that is the connection between Dishy and the router, and that is 15 feet of cable, weatherproofed, weather sealed cable, and yeah, a little warranty card as well, and yeah, that's pretty much the unboxing done with. On the roof of my van I have some track boards, and I'm going to mount the Dishy platform up there. I'll fix it a bit better than that, but just for testing purposes, that's where I've put it, and everything clips together really well. There's a locator pin in the middle. You've got some little sort of clips on the feet, so the Dishy clips in there and can only go in one place. Obviously make sure the cable's clipped back in place first. And for this exercise I am simply just going to pass the cable through down from the roof and into the back of my van, and then sort of get everything connected up that way. The connections to the router are very simple. It's got two things underneath. One is a big hole and one is a little hole. The little hole is where the dishy cable comes through, so just basically plug that in. Like I say, it's all weather sealed, including the mains cable, even though I don't think you're ever supposed to put this outside. I do want to put that in there, but the ends do have sort of like weather sealed connections and everything on them. So yeah, do that. And like I say, it is mains. We'll talk about the power and everything in a minute, but it's mains power, so you plug it into the mains. It's a very neat unit, as you can imagine, very slimline, and the only way to know that it's working is a tiny little white light underneath that actually gives a sort of status sort of pulse, or just shows that it's actually powered on. So that is dishy mounted up on the roof, and within a couple of minutes it actually sort of started to do things. And essentially what the motor does is just align itself. I think most of the time it's, if you're in the northern hemisphere, it aligns itself towards the equator, so that'll be south, and if you're in the southern hemisphere, it will align itself with the equator, which will be north. So that's basically what it did for the first couple of minutes. Online set up, just mounted on the roof, cable through the back door, and probably just about double the speed of the EE router, which is on a weak 5G/4G signal right now. On the download, upload probably about an extra 20% or something like that. So yeah, not bad at all. Obviously that will work wherever I go, whereas the EE one is subject to, well, yeah, planning permissions granted to cell towers in the UK, which isn't great. Abroad it's a little bit better, but in the UK not so much, which is why I felt the need to get it. So yeah, we're online. All in all, from unboxing to climbing up the ladder, plunking it on the roof, powering this up, and yeah, basically it needed a software update as well. Obviously everything needs a software update these days. To being online doing that speed test, I would imagine, including filming it and everything, 15 minutes. And you can't really argue with that, can you? That is absolutely banging. Obviously I need to do some testing, environment testing, see how it goes. I need to work out to leave something in my van to remind me that there's a dish on the top, which apparently they've called dishy. Not sure, I'll go with that one, McDish face or something like that. Yeah, quite happy with that experience so far. Some of you may find this bit a little bit boring, but I wanted to do 3 tests for download and upload speed on Starlink, as well as my EE Wi-Fi system I have in my van. So the first test is 99.5 meg download, and the upload here is 8.23, and that's on Starlink. On EE it's 46.7, and the upload isn't quite as good. In fact, what you're looking at now is quite good for where we are right now with EE. So just over sort of 6.5 meg upload. Again, for me as a content creator, YouTuber, whatever, the upload is possibly more important than the download speed, because when I create a video and I have to upload it, sometimes it can be quite a few gigabytes of size of the video. And it takes quite a few hours, so you need a very stable connection to upload, like I say, a video every few days, and not having to sit here for hours and hours and hours waiting for it to upload. So the problem with EE in this area and some of the areas we go, the weaker the signal, the slower the upload speed. Whereas the concept of me using Starlink is that, yeah, I get a fantastic download speed in comparison, but the upload speed pretty much is going to give me what I need, which is a stable, fast upload connection. Technically, I'm looking at around about 10 meg upload speed would be an ideal sort of sort of connection for me. So sometimes you get that on EE if you're in a city centre, and if you can get on 4G or 5G, but often you only get sort of like a couple of meg when it takes hours. So that's where Starlink is going to make things better for me, is on the upload speed. So a couple of days now experience of using Starlink Roam or RV. and yeah, a couple of little bits of experience to talk about power. A lot of people probably talk about money. Yeah, it's expensive, but let's talk about power. So an average sort of Wi-Fi router, like the Netgear or the Huawei or something like that, will use over 24 hours around about 8 amp hours. So if you've got a 100 amp hour battery, it's going to use 8%. The Starlink will use about 90 amp hours over a 24-hour period, unless you convert your Starlink to 12 volt, in which case you'll probably only save a little bit of power. So if you convert it to 12 volt, that's around about 77, 78 amp hours. So you're not saving a great deal for a lot of faffing around, a lot of money, and yeah, you get no warranty. You could argue, well, if you arrive at a campsite or a park up or whatever and there's no internet, John, leave, go and park somewhere else. You're right, that is a solution. However, I like exploring and I like going on adventures, and the places I go to don't have a great deal of good internet because there aren't a lot of people living there. So why should big companies put in loads of masts and all the equipment that's needed for, you know, a few people to drive past once a week? That's where Starlink comes into it. Just want to point out this video isn't sponsored by Starlink whatsoever. I bought it, it was 450 quid, and I'm paying £85 a month. But anyway, this is just me showing you how I stow it away. So the dish comes off the roof. I've made sure it's powered by my all powers, so it's not draining my main system, and I've just stuffed the router under the bed for now, just to keep it all in one place while I eventually work out what I'm doing. I've also fastened down the mount up on the roof, so that is permanently now, well, not permanently, but you know, it's better situated than it was before, so it doesn't move anywhere. It's nice and strong. And I can easily remove the trackpad if I want to at some stage with just some snips and get that out of the way. So yeah, that's where it sits, and it's working fine. Happy days with Starlink. So the next item I didn't think I was ever going to fit to my van, and I've fitted to my van because I do think it's a necessity, is an awning. But I went for a lightweight awning rather than a wind out awning, which is quite heavy and very expensive. And the reason why is because a few months ago we met up with Em and Lou from Campervan. If you don't follow them, link in the description. And they've got this exact same awning, and we saw it being used. We sat under it, and it was very nice to have that as an option when the weather's good. The only thing is, my van's quite tall now with the suspension, so I do need ladders or my step to be able to get up to actually sort of zip and unzip the awning to get it out. But the awning itself I'm very happy with. Like I say, there were some adjustments to the brackets and things like that up there, so I had to angle them so the height of the van meant that the awning was angled down. Got to readjust where my lights are as well on the roof, but overall I'm very happy with this. It was quite inexpensive. It was £199 plus £50 delivery, so 250 quid. I get an awning. It's lightweight, only weighs about 3.5 kilos, and it stows away very neatly. So yes, I would say potentially some people might say it's a luxury, but I'm going to say it's a necessity on this one. And the final item, which I'm going to say is a necessity, some people might say is a luxury, is to get window films or window tints, whichever way you call it, fitted to our vans. So normally you'll see them on vehicles, they're sort of like a darker tint at the back. You're not allowed a dark tint at the front. Our vans have both come with tinted windows. So we were given a book by SunGuard, who are the people that we went to. I've used SunGuard for probably about 20 years to tint all the windows in the rear of my car, simply because our daughter Jem got really car sick, so by having dark tints in the back it helped her with that as well. It also helped keep the heat out for when Coop was in the back as well. So you can get an idea of tints, as well as UV films which cut out the heat but without the light. So that's what we went for in the end, just a UV film that, as you can see there, it doesn't cut out the light, but it stops the heat from coming through the glass. So as you can see here, that's just the standard tint of the windows there, but this film then is applied, and you can feel it going down the road. So like in the summer you get trucker's arm, where the sun comes through the side windows and you get baked. This prevents that quite an awful lot, and yeah, it just is phenomenal stuff. It's about £450 to have both vans done. So it was expensive but very worthwhile. They also provide window tints and film for houses and commercial properties as well, for the same reasons, to cut out the heat in summer. And we also added a top tint as well, so that's like a sun visor tint, and that basically is because the top of our sun visors don't work anymore because of the silly Remis blind system. So the top tint's quite a necessity for driving around in summer. But I think you'll agree the vans now are getting pretty nice. So that's the films applied all around and the top tint. And like I say, that's SunGuard solar control in Stockport. And this isn't really a luxury or a necessity. This is just a matter of fact. I said when my van's finished, I'm going to put the flags on the back. I think my van's more or less finished, folks. So the flags are gone on the back. And I think it finishes off absolutely perfectly. Right, well, thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it. Obviously, yeah, let me know in the comments section down below what you consider to be a necessity, but other people have told you that it's a luxury. Or just ask any questions about the items that were shown in the video, the products shown in the video. Links to the Starlink system will be down below. Links to the awning will be down below, and links to SunGuard solar control will be downloaded down below as well. And I shall see you on the next video, folks. Bye.